My first encounter with China was in 1992. It wasn't in the headlines back then, and the only way you could find out what this place was about was by going. I spent 3 months traveling around the country, and it broke me down. Literally deconstructed the entire framework of what we were taught as European children, about function, priorities, and what you're entitled to. I was taken by the country's undeniable pulse and foreignness. From here, the world was quite a different place. I came back to Beijing about 10 years later, in April 2002, this time more permanently. Looking at China and the city from a totally different perspective, no longer as a distant observer or curious tourist, but suddenly with the context of a possibility, a quest to imagine a building in the city. That changes the way you look at things, makes you immediately more inquisitive. You could almost say both confrontational and complicit. Everything is bigger, the buildings, the crowds, the traffic jams. The pace is faster. Here, change is not something that may happen a decade away, but something that you're immediately and instantly confronted with. Of course, for an architect, change is a very interesting attribute. If a context is developing, modernizing, reimagining its own future, it's an incredibly engaging framework to deal with. You always have to have respect and sensitivity for what already exists, preserving culture and continuity. Simultaneously, you have to develop a desire to intervene and participate, imagine a future and alternatives. For me, it was crucial to be here while CCTV was being built, to absorb the culture, gain a sense of how life unfolds, how people's psychology functions, how emotions run. You take all that in and consider how architecture could manifest itself as a response to these notions that are beyond the technical or purely conceptual. I've spent a decade on creating this building, and although it is now completed and in operation, I'm still confronted with it on a daily basis. One or the other way, it continuously pops up in the city skyline. But there's also a life after. The story goes on. New projects, new possibilities, new challenges, new ideas. The next phase of my own narrative, if you will. Everything I have is here. It's become home, but at the same time, I obviously haven't become Chinese, at least not entirely.